everyone, welcome back to Sega Spark Weekend! Today we bring to you a thing that we haven't done in quite some time, and that is a version versus. Today's games of choice is going to be Virtua Fighter 2. We're going to be playing the Genesis and the Sega Saturn version. I'm going to be showing you guys the complete differences between the two, and since he popped up, we'll be playing as Akira today. Pai-chan looks so pissed off. Alright, so this is pretty cool. They're showing sprite work of what their actual 3D models kind of look like, actually. Wow, you can actually hear that horn honking outside. So yeah, there's a good roster of characters. We've played this version actually in the past. And so I played as Sarah on here last time. So we're just gonna show you guys just follow how to play this. So we've got this assortment of characters. We got Akira, Pai, Bao, Wolf, Jeffrey, Kage, Sarah, and Jackie. So we're going to be playing as Akira today. And this is what the Genesis version looks like. It's a bit floaty. Don't want to get too close to the edge there. Yeah, you can ring out characters and such. You know, for a port, this isn't so bad. I mean, mind you, it's not a 3D fighter like the original game is, but still. The effects of how they make the stage and everything look semi-3D on the Genesis is not bad. Also, the sprite works and animations are pretty good too. We'll try the next stage. The fact that they made these characters out of sprites kind of gives it a little bit of a Street Fighter kind of vibe to it a little bit. And I just realized I got my butt kicked there. Music sounds okay too. Actually, let me just increase the game volume a little bit so you guys can actually hear that. Bump it up to -10. Man, she just whooped my butt. Winner, Sarah. I lose. Let's continue.
Ready, go.
Alright, so block with this button. Given that this is on a Genesis controller, you can play with 3 buttons basically. There's a block button, a punch button, and a kick button. But you can also do certain combos. I don't know them all, really, so... Yeah, the detail of the sprites is actually really good. I mean, look at my knees! You can see where my knees are, poking through the clothing! Hey, if I have to win this via a timeout again, I'll do it. Man, she doesn't give a dang. She just wants to keep whooping my ass. Winner by timeout. Alright, Pai-chan. Okay. By the way, I never really ever play as Akira. so I don't know his moves at all. Well, Pio is very happy. This is actually one of my favorite Virtua Fighter songs, too. Got a good remix in Project Crosszone, actually. Man, she's just really kicking my butt. Alright. Give it one more try. I think I made a rule that I give myself 3, like, tries. So this is our final try, and I just apparently did awesome there. Damn! Dang! Ah, man. She's happy, that's what matters. I remember seeing a comment on, like, the last time we played Virtua Fighter. That... Well, the person likes this version the most, and I can respect that. Everyone has their own, like, game that they view, like, is the better version. And they're like, get good, noob! And I'm like, I've been playing this game for years. I am not a noob, I just suck! At fighting games in general! Alright, that was 3 tries, so... Power's not everything, you know. True. Very true. So this was basically what it was like playing Virtua Fighter. I almost said Street Fighter. Virtua Fighter 2 for the Segagenesis. Which is interesting that they never did the first one as a port. They just went straight to 2. But, hey. Alright, so now we will go jump to the Sega Saturn version in just a moment. Alright everyone, and now we've reached the Sega Saturn version of Virtua Fighter 2. Here we can see a total difference in what this game's all about, which is, well, 3D. And not only that, it's showing a difference between the prior games' like graphics compared to this game's graphics, which are a huge improvement. Honestly, this looks really good. For the time, for the time. I mean, seeing them go from low poly to pretty decent early poly, like, stuff is phenomenal, actually. I mean, again, this is low poly stuff, but it looks like it's much more improved. You know what I mean? So, tile screen basically is the same thing, but higher resolution and classic looking. Whoop. It was about ready to start that cycle again. Press start. We'll do arcade mode like we did last time. And unlike the last game we played, we have 6 buttons this time. So again, we've got Akira, Pi, Lau, Wolf, Jeffrey, Kage, Sarah, Jackie, Shun, and Lion. Only because this has been a couple hours since I played it, I can't remember if Kage was actually in the Genesis version or not. Either way, we're still sticking with Akira, just to make sure that this version versus looks somewhat similar. So here we can see that everything is 3D. Okay, so it feels like it's a 2D fighter still. But as we can see, everything's with 3D models, and it's actually not really a 2D fighter. As we see, everything's like moving around in this 3D field. So the top 3 buttons on the Saturn control don't really actually do anything, so you're still like using the same button scheme as the Genesis. Block, punch, and kick. For those who don't know, Virtua Fighter was actually the first 3D fighting game. Virtua Fighter 1, I mean. So you have games like Dead or Alive and Tekken to really thank for their gameplay style to like Virtua Fighter. So much so that Dead or Alive 5 actually had Virtua Fighter characters like Akira and Sarah. Which I can't remember if we actually showed you on the channel before. They're part of the main story too, which is kind of cool. So yeah, the locations look very similar compared to the Genesis version, but I believe this came out first. And something about just the buttons just feel way better on this than they did on the Genesis version, in my opinion. Yeah, Akira's still a little floaty with his jumps, but I think that's just like how he is. But like my reaction time with like certain like attacks feel a lot better. And I still knocked her off. But yeah, so far, pretty good. Did I beat Sarah twice? I honestly don't know. So here's a difference between the games. Our third match is against Shun, who I don't think was in the Genesis version also. I have to recheck what the character select was. I didn't just go straight into this. This has actually been a couple hours since I played the Genesis version. I actually even played Shin Megami Tensei in between these things. I can really hear me button mash. So yeah, like, there are certain things about the Genesis version that people could probably like more, but I just love this version way more. And I grew up with the Genesis version. And by grew up, I mean when I got the Wii. Which was back when I was in high school. So that's the one that I had more, like, familiarity with. Alright, that's our first loss, so 2 more and then we can call it quits. Yeah, certain, like, also, like, attacks and stuff just seem like they are more effective when we do this. Yeah, you can knock him off the field. Man. This is our last chance. Man, Shun is just an ass kicker. He is a master of the drunken fist. Oh, come on, knock him off, knock him off, knock him off. Damn! Man, Shun just whooped our butts. We probably got, I think, 1 win on him. But you know what? That was a... Oh wait, there was some time where I had to like cut out of this, so it's not actually been 12 minutes. But it gets our point across. So these are basically the differences between the Genesis and the Saturn version. One's 2D purely, and then the other is a 3D fighting game. Now, both are good. In this kind of case, I think it's a draw. Whether you like the 2D version or the 3D version, either one is a fun experience. Sure, the 3D one I think has a couple more benefits than the 2D, but I feel like people would probably feel more comfortable with 2D fighters than they would 3D. Thanks to like Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and stuff like that. However, if you're more of a fan of like Dead or Alive or Tekken, I think for the 3D versions will probably be your favorite. So, whichever one is your preference is the one you should probably go with. But however, when it comes to Virtua Fighter, the only 2D one was Virtua Fighter 2 for the Genesis. Which is the one that Sega kind of keeps bringing back whenever they do Genesis collections. It's always the Genesis version of Virtua Fighter 2. Mind you, they never really do any collections for the Saturn or anything, so there's that. But yeah, my personal preference, I like the Saturn one a little bit more. But I will not deny that the Genesis version has a special place in my heart as my first Virtua Fighter experience. And thank you guys for joining us on this version versus. I'd say, overall, this is a draw. Both are great in their own way. See you guys soon for hopefully more version versus in the future, where I will probably do a video camera segment as well. Or not segment, but portion of the video. Bye!